All right, thank you for staying with Daybreak. Let's start that conversation on State of the Nation, where we talk about matters, politics, and everything in between. We take a look at the dailies and also matters happening in real time as well. Honorable Samson Cherargei is here, Senator for Nandi. Thank you for making time. His Excellency Kimani Wamatangi, Governor for Kiambu, is also here. Thank you so much for making time. Honorable Dan Manzo, Senator Makueni is on his way. As soon as he comes in, we'll rope him into the discussion. But I see here there's a lot of feedback already coming through. Keep them coming on every single subject that we're going to talk about. We'll start with the appointment, with the nomination of the cabinet secretaries. And I see Arap Masai, or at Sir Rawlings, says the devolution ministry was and is still unnecessary. What exactly are the roles of the governors and, most importantly, the chair of the Council of Governors? Having a CS for devolution is akin to having a prefect for head teachers and principals. Devolved functions and funds are clearly spelt out. All right, we'll get into the scrapping of the devolution ministry in just a bit. But Cherargei, I'll start with you on this. What is your reaction to the nomination of the cabinet secretaries? You were very vocal about this just a few days before the naming, saying, in fact, you wanted a cabinet secretary to come from Nandi. Are you satisfied with the list from the president?
Thank you very much, Trevor, and good morning. It's always an honor to appear during the State of the Nation. One I want from the onset before I react is that to congratulate the cabinet nominees of the Hustler cabinet for the good job and being nominated. And I hope Parliament will expedite the appointment, vetting and vetting of the nominees. And of course, because time is running out, the president now needs to start delivering on the promises that they made or we made during the campaigns. A number of cabinet nominees are colleagues and friends, and we believe in their ability and capacity to deliver. And I have no doubt that the president is committed in transforming, especially fixing the ailing economy. So we wish them well. As Parliament and as Senate, we shall continue to support the president's agenda at Parliament. And I know later today we'll be able to address a joint sitting of both houses in Parliament. Secondly, I'm satisfied because the formation of cabinet is yet to be concluded. As it's about cabinet secretaries, the permanent secretaries are yet to be appointed. You had there 49. The chief administrative secretaries are yet to be appointed. There is also appointments within the State House, who run State House affairs. So for us in Nandi, we are still hopeful and believe that, and of course it's the position of the president that the people of Nandi will get a chance to serve in his cabinet, because it's not only about the CSS, but also about the PSS, CSS. And you have to look at the interests that played in place. There are many factors that played in place when appointing of the cabinet. You must look at regional balance. You must look at ethnicity. You must look at the loyalty. And you have to give it to President William Ruto that he has really rewarded loyalty. And most of the people who have been rewarded are people who sacrifice, people who campaign with him, and these are people who are loyal and friends to his cause and himself and to the country. So for us, we are satisfied. We know in the appointment of PSS, we will also get an opportunity. In the chief administrative officers, we'll get appointed. And there are going to be so many senior government appointments going into the future. Okay. So, and you have to appreciate also that the president comes from my region. And therefore, we have a much better and bigger seat because President William Ruto comes from my region. Essentially, part of where he comes from is largely Nandi. So, for now, we support the government and hope in the coming appointment of PSS, CSS, and other senior government appointments. Of course, the people of Nandi and Kenyans will get an opportunity. Okay. But I want to confirm to you that we believe that the cabinet that has been named a few days by the president is ready and to hit the ground running. And I hope, and I want to just mention, because as I walked in, you were discussing something about technocrats and politicians. Yeah. Some of these some of these individuals that you see are also technocrats. Some of them are lawyers, others have various degrees in education. So even before you call them politicians, they are already professionals from various disciplines. So I think what is important is delivery. And you know, when the retired President Uhuru Kenyatta appointed technocrats, there was a lot of disconnect between the public, the cabinet, and the people. And in fact, those technocrats at some point, Trevor, because I served in the last parliament, even used to disdain and demean and look down upon elected leaders. But I'm happy politicians are people who can gel and connect. And I just, and you saw yesterday evening in JKL, there were former cabinet ministers who appeared at JKL show yesterday evening. I think Lina Kilimo, former cabinet minister, Dalmas Otieno, and Chirawa Ali Makwere, who are former cabinet ministers but politicians. And you could see that there used to be that rapport between the people, the government, and the ministry. So for us, we are satisfied, and we hope Parliament, especially National Assembly, should process the vetting. Then let these ministers hit the ground running, because we need to start delivering on campaign promises.
All right. Governor, what is your assessment of the cabinet lineup? Are you seeing a reward of more loyalty over merit, or what is your assessment?
Morning, Trevor. Let me also say good morning to our viewers. And Trevor, my assessment of the cabinet nominees, for that matter, I think majority of these men and women are people with capacity, and for that matter, proven capacity in other areas before. I mean, if you go through the entire list, you wouldn't fail to pick at least 3/4 of them who are also well-accomplished individuals in other areas. Like from the Senate, the nominees that made it there that I served with in the Senate, if you look at the likes of Professor Kithure Kindiki, he's a man with a very firm and strong background as a performer in many other regions, including academia. If you look at Kipchumba Murkomen, he's a gentleman who's also had a reputation as a constitutional lawyer and a civil rights activist and gentleman who's done good work. Mithika Linturi has been a businessman who succeeded, and so on. I think largely these people will be able to deliver on what the vision is. When we speak about loyalty, of course we all belong to certain political formations, and definitely a political party will most largely choose a majority from its own believers, for that matter. Because you want to implement a manifesto, for that matter, that you formulated. And so whoever you pick has got to be able to understand what it is that you said you were going to do for the people and lead from the front. So I think as much as we speak about loyalty, we should see the merit and the value that these individuals are going to be adding. Let me also say, Trevor, that a cabinet secretary does not serve alone. Of course, as it is, whichever institution you are in or enterprise, where you lead, who you are, what you say, what you show matters a lot. And that determines a lot whether there will be success or not. As the famous saying goes, success arises or falls with leadership. But it is also important to note that there are also several other technocrats within a ministry who support the incoming cabinet secretary, for that matter. And so success is not necessarily accrued or only relevant to the presence of that particular person. There's a framework that exists. Remember, CSs sometimes even switch from this ministry to another one, and that doesn't mean that ministry does not perform. So I would be wishing these gentlemen well. It also behoves them as individuals to ensure that they don't let the president down. I think Kenyans are starting to feel very well and to feel good and understanding that our president has always meant well for this country. I think that's the feeling that you get when you talk to Kenyans. People are optimistic. People are looking forward now. And they're getting now to understand better what the president was always speaking about when he said that he wants to carve out and work on a new approach to our issues. So I think this gentleman will owe it to us, owe it to the president, to make sure that they live up to the expectations of the people.
Okay.
Lastly is to urge Parliament, when their names go there, yes, of course, do your work, vet them, and make sure that they pass. The bit that would be unpleasant, because I saw in another section of the media, some of the Azimio leaning members of Parliament starting to make comments that are not only unfortunate, but intending to mar the process by introducing politics into the vetting process. I've heard many of them starting to say, oh, those fellows, let them come. You're going to grill them and fail them and throw them out, even calling them names and branding them. And I think that is the wrong approach. I said here last time that the best thing that the Azimio team would do to this country now is to realize that we Kenyans have moved on. We want to put food on the table for our children. We want to build our country. We want to create jobs for our jobless young people. We want to bury the politics of 2022's election and leave it behind us, and work on how our future should look like. So I want to say to our Azimio team on the other side, to wake up and smell the coffee. What people are saying is, let's now get going into building this country. I hope they will join and drop that politics that is now old-fashioned. And
we'll talk about that in a bit, because Opio Wandai was raising issue with some of the cabinet nominees, and he was very specific on one, Aisha Jumwa, issues around misappropriation of funds, issues around murder charges. Also, we have Mithika Linturi facing rape charges. So these are actual issues that are still actually in court. It's attempted rape charge. But let's take a quick break. When you come back, we have Dan Manzo also joining us in just a bit, Senator for Makueni, as we keep talking about the cabinet nominees and the issues that are rising in between. All right, keep your views coming at Trevor Mbija at Citizen TV Kenya. Use the hashtag Daybreak. We're back in just a moment.